I wasn't supposed to be home until Friday night, but the client canceled the final presentation, and I caught the earliest flight out of Chicago. It was almost midnight when my Uber pulled up to the house. The porch light was on. Odd, because my wife Mia always turned it off before bed. As I stepped inside, the house was quiet. Our golden retriever Baxter didn't run to greet me. Strange. He always knew when I was near. I dropped my suitcase in the hallway and walked toward the living room. I was tired, but something didn't feel right. That's when I heard a low murmur coming from upstairs. A voice. Male. Soft, but familiar. I climbed the stairs as quietly as I could. The sound was coming from my son Ethan's room. His nightlight cast a faint glow on the half-closed door. I pushed it open. And there he was, my brother Landon, sitting on the edge of Ethan's bed, tucking him in, whispering something I couldn't quite hear. And Ethan, smiling in his sleep. Landon. My voice came out sharper than I expected. He flinched, his eyes widened, hands quickly dropping to his sides. Nolan, what are you doing here? This is my house. What are you doing here? The room sank into silence. Ethan murmured in his sleep, then settled back into deep breathing. Landon ran his fingers through his hair. Mia called me. Ethan woke up with a fever. She panicked. I was nearby. My heart pounded in my chest, but I forced my voice to stay even. Where is Mia now? In bed, said she wasn't feeling well. I knelt beside Ethan, gently checked his forehead. Normal. Then I turned, eyes locked on Landon, and something inside me cracked. You being here, it's not okay. He looked away. I was just trying to help. Help. But deep inside, something twisted. A silence that didn't feel right. A stillness that didn't belong. And echoing inside me was a thought I couldn't silence. I wasn't supposed to come home early. The next morning I sat in the kitchen, nursing a cold cup of coffee. The house was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet where secrets echo. Mia walked in, hair tied up messily, a robe wrapped around her. You're up early, she said, voice flat. I looked at her. Why was Landon here last night? She blinked. I told you, Ethan was sick. I needed help. You could have called me. I didn't know when your flight was, Nolan. I leaned forward. Mia, be honest. Why him? Her eyes flickered for a moment. That was all it took, just a flicker. But I saw it. Because he was the closest person I could reach, that's all. But her words were slow, measured, like each one had to be tested before it left her mouth, and the way she wouldn't meet my eyes. It hit me in the gut like a punch I wasn't ready for. Did something happen between you two? I asked softly. She froze. Then, Nolan, don't. This isn't the time. Which meant there was a time, and I had missed it. I needed clarity, answers. So I called Landon. He answered on the second ring, casual as ever. Hey, Nolan, everything all right? I think you know why I'm calling. A pause, then that trademark half chuckle of his. You mean last night? I came home early. I saw you. Yeah, I was helping Mia. Ethan was burning up. Nothing weird. I waited, gave him the silence, the kind that forces people to fill it. You think something's going on, don't you? I didn't answer. Nolan, he said, you know me. I wouldn't cross that line, but I did know him. I knew he could lie with a straight face. I'd seen him do it growing up, mostly to cover for me. But now it felt like he was covering something from me. I need to ask you something, Landon, I said, and I need the truth. Shoot. Is Ethan my son? The line went dead quiet. Then, of course he is, Nolan. What kind of question is that? But again, too fast, too defensive. I stared out the window, the weight in my chest growing heavier. Something about the way Landon smiled through the phone. It didn't feel like family. It felt like betrayal wearing a familiar face. I didn't sleep that night. Mia noticed, of course, but didn't push. She just offered coffee, silence, and avoidance. But my thoughts didn't stay quiet. I needed certainty, and certainty meant science. So the next morning, while Mia was at work, I took Ethan to the park. We played, we laughed. He giggled when I chased him. It was the kind of moment that should feel pure joy. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking about the cotton swab in my pocket. Later that day, I dropped off the sample at a private lab. Discreet, cash payment, no names. 3 days passed. Every second was a war between guilt and suspicion. Then the results arrived in a sealed white envelope. I stared at it on the kitchen table for 10 minutes straight. My hands trembled as I opened it. And then everything changed. Probability of paternity, 0%. I blinked, read it again. 0, not 10%, not 50%. 0. Ethan wasn't mine. He never was. And the only other man who could have been the father was the one who knew our house alarm code, who tucked my son into bed while I was away, who told me I was like a brother, my actual brother. I sat in the car outside my brother Caleb's house for over an hour. The DNA results were in my glove compartment. The air felt heavier than it should have been. When I finally knocked, he opened the door with that same easy grin he always had. "Liam, back early again?" His tone was light, too light. I didn't answer. I just walked past him into his living room. He followed, slowly, sensing the shift. "Is Ethan your son?" My voice was flat, stripped of all emotion. He blinked. "What?" I tossed the DNA paper onto the coffee table. "Don't play dumb. Is he yours?" He picked up the envelope, scanned it, and sat down heavily. "I didn't know," he whispered. "At least, not for sure." My heart thudded. "So it's true." Caleb buried his face in his hands. "It was one night. Mia came to me crying about how distant you were. I told her to go home, but she didn't. And I was weak. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. My rage was too deep for sound. You let me raise him. You let me believe he was mine. I thought it was a mistake, that maybe he was yours. I didn't know how to tell you. You let me call you his uncle." I laughed bitterly. "What kind of man does that?" "I'm sorry," he said, voice cracking. "I swear I didn't mean for this to happen." But it did happen, and there was no going back. When I got home, Mia was in the kitchen making Ethan's lunch like it was any other day. The normalcy of it made my skin crawl. I placed the DNA envelope on the counter. She looked up. "What's that?" "Open it." She hesitated, then peeled it open with trembling fingers. Her face fell as she scanned the page. "You knew, didn't you?" I asked. "Maybe not at first, but you knew for years." She set the paper down, lips trembling. I suspected, but I wasn't sure." "And you chose not to tell me?" "I didn't want to lose everything," she whispered. "I was scared." "Scared of what? Of being honest? Of letting me raise a child that wasn't mine while you kept sleeping next to me every night?" She wiped away a tear. "Liam, I love you. I didn't plan any of this. But you let it happen. You let me love a child, your brother-in-law's child, without ever giving me the truth. Ethan is still your son," she said softly. "You're the only father he's ever known." I swallowed hard. That part hurt the most. "I'll always love Ethan," I said, "but I can't stay here. Not with you. Not after this." She stepped forward, pleading, "Please, Liam, Don't do this. But it was already done. The morning I moved out, Ethan ran to the door in his pajamas. "Daddy, where are you going?" I knelt down, forcing a smile even though my heart was breaking. "I have to go for a while, buddy, but I'll still see you all the time. I promise." He hugged me tight, and for a moment, I almost couldn't let go. Mia stood behind him, silent, her eyes red. She didn't say a word. She knew she had already said too much and not enough. I rented a small apartment across town. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Quiet, honest, real. I started therapy. I needed to understand how I missed so many signs, how I could forgive Ethan without losing myself in the process, because none of this was his fault. Over the next few weeks, I saw Ethan on weekends. We built Lego towers and went for ice cream. He still called me Dad, and I still answered. As for Owen, I haven't seen him since. He didn't try to explain, didn't apologize, didn't even fight for his son. I guess cowards don't. One night, Ethan asked, "Why don't you live with us anymore?" I took a deep breath. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, and those mistakes hurt people. But it doesn't change how much I love you. He hugged me again and said, "I love you too, Dad." And in that moment, I realized you can't choose how people betray you, but you can choose how you heal. And I was finally ready to start healing